Hi everyone. So we are going to do 4 different handles. If you would like to practice your handles before placing it on a cup, you can grab a thing of clay and just kind of roll it out. Right, something like that. If you really want to go the extra mile, you can hollow this out, stick a broom handle down in there, or a dowel rod, and that'll give you a little bit better feel. So why don't we do that? So this will actually give you a better feel for making a cup, or putting your handles on the inside of your cup. This is also a way to make cylinders really quickly. So using the broom handle to roll out your clay. So, surprise demo for you right there. Okay? So, I can have my hand on the inside and pinch together. So it's turned into a nice rectangular piece. I think since we've been using slabs so much, why don't we begin with slabs? Okay, so I wedge my clay before making handles. So you want to make sure that everything is homogenized, everything is ubiquitous, the same, whatever metaphor you should choose. And with my little piece of clay, if I want to make just a little tiny slab, I can stretch it out by throwing a slab, right? So patting my ball of clay down and picking up one end, flipping it, and letting it drop on one end, and that momentum will carry and stretch out. So what I'm looking for is to have a slab that is as long as this. Your blocks are a great measurement for handles, right? So having something that's like this works really well. Okay, so ready to begin, right? So I've got my slab here, and I'll press my texture into the block, right? Or my block texture into my clay, right? I didn't press that hard. If you don't press that hard with your texture block, you can get away without using cornstarch. Right? Cutting off the top and bottom, and then from here, measuring out your thumb width, right? Depending on how wide you want your piece, how wide you want your handle, right? So comfortable width, something like that. So about 1/4 of an inch on each side of my thumb. From here, I'm going to take you guys down a setting so you can see this better. So pardon me for just a second. Good. And I want to taper this, right? So with the straight edge, I just kind of want to bring in that base just a little bit. And some of you may have seen me do this already, but bear with me. So I have a nice trapezoidal shape that's textured, right? And I have these edges here too, which are really sharp. So if I put it on this way, it's not really going to feel good. So if you put this on your handle, or if you put your handle on your mug, you can pinch the sides, which gives it kind of like a hammered metal sort of look. So you're pinching the sides to smooth things out. Or if you add just a little bit of water and then dip your index fingers in the water and run your hands down the sides, you get a really nice line. Okay. So it frames the handle really well. I get this lovely texture right here and alongside this border, right? So be careful not to mess with it too much, otherwise you're just going to mess up your pattern. So then the only thing, blooper, the only thing left to do would be to clean up this edge here if and when you get it onto your mug, right? So from here, this is a pretty classic way to attach a handle. Scoring the top side here, scoring the bottom, right, because that's going to attach to the base. It's going to loop up and over. And I have my mug side right here. So about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up is a nice place to add your handle, right? Something along like that. Scoring where I'm going to place it, and also taking note of width, right? I've done this a little bit before, so I know where to look for width and things like that, right? I can kind of adjust what I need with just my eyeballs. And then adding water to only one side, which will always typically be the handle side for me. And then working my thumb back and forth. Now if your handle, if your mug is nice and stiff, I can pick it up like this and adjust the handle as I need. I'll support the inside with my middle finger or index finger if you should so choose, and just kind of pinch this back and forth. right? So I can get a nice connection. And then this base right here, I'll move up just a little bit. Score. Add just a dab of water. Move my handle back down into position, and then I can compress those scored edges together, and then working my finger back and forth, up and down. Okay. It's pretty straight on, right? So from here, I can get this into shape if I want. You can move it around with your thumb, right? So if you want to have a nice high handle, you can do that, right? If I press down and in, I'll get a handle that will work really nicely with 2 fingers. And so play around with it. It's kind of goofy, right? Might be a nice 1 finger handle, but while the handle is soft, you have a little bit of wiggle room to get that final shaping correct to your liking. So that's 1 handle. Another quick handle would be rolling a coil. Something like that, depending on how you would like to do this. And I can pat this down a little bit with my hand, right? And quick, easy, down and dirty handle, just like that, right? So it's another way to make a slab kind of handle. From here, you know, I can do a number of things, right? Similar to running my finger along the sides. If someone is interested in having a nice thumb groove, you know, you can do something like that, right? And so things get tapered out a little bit. You get the idea, right? So it's a version of pulling the handle, and what's happening right now is my middle is becoming more stretched out. So I can use that to my advantage and have a sort of wide-ish handle. Okay, so taking the shape in whichever way you really want to, you can play around with how to attach, right? So something similar like this, and I'm probably going to cut off just a little bit on top and bottom and see how this may fit on as a single finger handle. We're just going to work around this just a little bit, right? So you can always mark with your needle tool, right? So I have my handle area marked there. And I've got the width also marked because of that line. So I can go in and score, and then score my edges for my finger handle, and then I'll add on to the side, right? So again, adding water to only one of the sides because that's where I really need it the most. And from here, kind of want to wiggle back and forth, and down here I can take the handle between my thumb and forefinger. I always seem to favor my middle finger though. I always feel my index finger gets in the way. So if you can use both of your hands and pinch in both sides and squeeze in, it'll look relatively even, right? So with this, it's a little rough, right? You can always dip your hand in water and from here kind of smooth things out a little bit. Kind of recreating that groove a little bit on the handle. So working things back and forth, I can shape my sides and smooth things out a little bit, right? So depending on what you're kind of interested in, right? A lot of people will finish their handles on their cups like this, on their mugs, so they can get a good sense of how it'll feel in the hand, right? So this thing's a little ridiculously wide, right? But you kind of get the idea and the sense of it all, right? Once you kind of find your groove, you can begin playing around with shaping and what you think looks good. I like leaving a lot of seams in my work. I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving seams and showing construction methods. And then I'd probably go back through and I can clean up edges with a brush if I really wanted to clean up that slip and things like that, right? So that's number 2, right? Number 3, just gonna roll a simple coil, right? So in my hand, if I want to taper it, I'll add pressure on my base and kind of, you know, make my hands into the shape of a cone, and that begins to make a really nice cone coil. And with time, we kind of begin to roll a little bit more evenly, and you know, that makes a pretty nice platform for the coil. And then again, however you want to shape this, right? You can think of how you want to lay this down on the handle, right? If I cut at an angle like this, it will lay on the mug a little easier on the cylinder shape, right? That kind of give me that traditional angle. So again, scoring. And as I score, sometimes I'll even bevel it myself just as I score, right? Giving myself a nice wide base here. And then again, scoring down on my bottom, right? So it kind of flattens things out a little bit, which I think looks great. And here, let's try and take a look at our spot again. Okay, so you can see how that water really flows into the scored edges. And this one might be one of those handles that you can blend the whole seam together, right? And then from there, ooh, sometimes that clay's a little too stiff. If it's a little too short, we'll get these crack marks right here from stretching out the clay. So the way around this is having a longer piece of coil. So from here, I'll score my mark, add my water, and then from here I can work my finger back and forth. Up and down. You get yourself a really nice print, right, with your fingers. So, way to fix that, just add a little bit of water and compress that clay back and forth, right? So, again, finishing the handle with your finger. But however you want to finish this, right? You can see me moving the clay around a little bit just kind of blending those lines in together so it's a nice smooth transition. And then you can, blend in the lines down here too. If you really want to make it blend all the way together, you can, right? So going in with your tool. Or even if you make a little coil, like this, you can blend that whole area together so you don't have a seam, right? Working that clay into that crevice a little bit and smoothing things out. And always, if you have rough edges, going back with the brush really helps smooth things out. You can really move a lot of clay with just your brush, right? So I could take more time in cleaning this up, but we've got one more handle to create, and that will be the traditional pulled handle. So in practicing this, this is how I like doing it. I'll roll out a cone shaped coil. I'll hold it in my left hand and then I'll begin pulling, adding compression on the sides and on the facing of it. Right? So I just get the clay wet a little bit with my hand, and then I begin pulling, and you can see how it lengthens the clay. The clay is beginning to crack just a little bit, so right here, compressing with your thumb, going back and forth. It's kind of like a feel it out sort of thing, right? I'm going back to where I need to. And this is a really traditional way to pull a handle, right? The thing with this is if you use too much water, as you can see, the clay gets a little floppy, right? So I don't want to add too much water. And for my handle, that's a pretty good length right there. Right. And from here, I know like the width between my pinky and my index finger on my left hand will give me a good measurement to cut. So with this variation right here, I'll just leave it. It's not an issue for me, and I think I'll do one of my side winder handles. Oop. Thank you guys. This is a fun one. I've been doing this one for since I started making handles. I never was able to put on a straight handle to save my life up until like a couple years ago when I was schooled on handle making by my friend Jamie and Carrie Allen, and I was making growlers for them. So I've got my handle made and got it scored on the top and on the bottom. The less I touch my handle, the better. And I have a mark of where I want to score and place on my top handle. We're adding water to one side, sticking it in place, and then I'll always support the bottom with my other handle. If I let it drop, it'll crack, especially with this reclaim clay. I'll switch hands so I can also compress and pinch that together. So I called it a sidewinder handle because I'll just take it to the side, right? Could never put a straight handle on when I was beginning into like my professional career. So this was a addendum to that. So it's just straight off and to the right a little bit. So in picking this up, you know, I can play around with the handle base just a little bit. It's a little awkward with all those other handles on there, but you know, working the bottom part of the handle from side to side, I get a really nice wide pattern, a really nice wide patch of the handle to hold on and adhere itself. And from here, I like to just add a little bit of pressure. So on top, just pressing in like that. And so from here, everything rests really well. Like if I have my two fingers in my mug, my ring finger will fit nicely in this thumbprint right here, and I found that to fit very nicely right-handed, right? So if I actually just place my index finger in where I had that thumb pull, I can just press in a little bit more. And you know, who doesn't love a quirky handle, right? It's kind of like an ear. Then I can go back through once it sets up and clean things up if I should feel the need. But glaze cleans up a lot of surface area, right? So I might not even have to do that. So that's my sidewinder handle, right? I could never put it on straight, so I just went with it, and it's slightly off to the right. If I move it over here, it fits really nicely in the left hand. So if it's slightly off to the right, it's kind of like your right-handed ergonomic handle. If it's slightly to the left, it fits very nicely in your left hand, I think. So those are handle demos to get you started and thinking about those. There's so many other handle demonstrations online, so feel free to look at those, right? These are my two favorites. They work pretty well. The slab one especially works really well in the beginning stages of learning to throw and pulling a handle. And then these ones, you know, if you have an idea for a coiled handle and it fits your work, then go for it. And same with this wide one too. So give these a shot. Hope to see you handles.